Okay, so here's the difference to me between black comedians making white race jokes and white comedians making black race jokes. Because, first of all, white comedians can make all the race jokes they want, right? It's not illegal. You just have to weigh in the risk to reward, right? Is the risk of getting all this negative backlash, getting canceled, just having people hate you worth it, right? Compared to the potential reward of telling a good race joke. Because telling a good race joke when you're white, right, requires a lot of skill because you want to make it funny and not offensive. And I think a lot of comedians don't do that well. Obviously, there's been some in the past, right? But I think it's a harder thing to do, right? So I think it's best just to avoid it all. And most importantly, right, I don't think it's works out for a white comedian to make a race joke because when it comes to race jokes, black people are good at dishing it but not taking it, right? And that should be enough right there, right? If you know a group of people is going to get offended every time you tell that type of joke, why do it? Just avoid the issue, right? There's a million other jokes to do. But then you have to dive deeper, right? Why are black people so defensive or get so offended when white people tell race jokes, right? You gotta realize, like, obviously the history of America, right? It's traditionally not treated black people well. So when a white person tells a race joke, right, you almost have to dissect it, the joke itself, right? And whether is this a joke or is this just an insult disguised as a joke? And when you have to dissect the joke, right, it really takes away from the joke itself. Now it's like not funny. It's like I gotta try to interpret your actual meaning behind the joke, right? So there's that. And then I think the biggest difference is, right, there's a big difference in impact of when a black comedian tells a white race joke and when a white comedian tells a race joke, because a black comedian will tell a race joke, right, and it'll be like, all right, white people smell like wet dog, right, and a kid will go to school the next day and maybe tell that joke and make fun of some white people, right? So it becomes more of an individual thing, right? What I notice when white comedians make race jokes, right, it almost becomes kind of like I don't even know how to explain it, because you'll see in the comments, it almost starts becoming like a gathering for racists, right? Because you'll see people in the comments be like, "Man, I miss slavery," and it's like, yo, even the white comedians like, "Oh, that's like, why the fuck did you say that? I didn't mean that." They got to backtrack or try to explain the joke or whatever, right? So I think when a white comedian tells a race joke, it just gets racists riled up. It gets them going, right? Where I think when a black comedian tells a white race joke, it just doesn't have that effect. I think the impact is completely different. And I think, lastly, I think it's become almost like a type of social reparation in a sense where, obviously there's certain things that like black people can do as far as like speaking on certain races that white people can't do. And I think white people just accept it because deep down there's almost a guilt of what's been done to black people in America. So it's just kind of like, you know what? They didn't really get their 40 acres and a meal, so fuck it. Let me just let them tell these jokes because in reality, my life's good. It doesn't affect me in any way, right? Like, it just let them do it and that would be it. But that's just my thoughts. I don't know. Whatever. Make what jokes you want to make. Just be prepared to deal with the backlash of it if it doesn't hit.